Is it possible to tell a person's life story in a few minutes with just some photos and music? Can a child ever really know their parents? Of course, the answer is no. But I'm going to do the best I can. I hope you learned something about Boyd. I know I did. He was the eldest of 4 children. He grew up in Oilton, Oklahoma, where his father bought a load of used lumber for $40 and built their house. He built it on the lease, on the hill south of Oilton, and when they moved out years later, he sold it for $100. Growing up, Dad enjoyed hunting, fishing, and exploring with his lifelong friends, Jim and Tim Arnold. I am named after Jim. In high school, he was very busy. He was on the student council, honor society, voted most likely to succeed. In his senior year, he was the editor of the yearbook and all-district tackle in football. He also worked in the local pool hall where he played the house stick. When pool sharks would come to town, they had to play the house stick. They regularly lost. He earned a football scholarship for Northern Oklahoma Junior College. There he met Mom and they were married. He graduated junior college, and it wasn't too long before I was in the picture. He continued his education at OU, but now he had to support a family, which he did by working at a Skelly service station in Edmond. To earn extra money, he was on call at night as a wrecker driver. At that time, before seatbelts and safety glass, it was often a gruesome job. Before too long, there were 5 in the family. Mom had studied the Bible, and Dad started to study the Bible to see what was going on. He studied first with Ted and Joyce Christ until they left for circuit work, then with Murray and Mary Ann Croy. Dad joined Mom as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. This is the first Kingdom Hall we attended, the North Unit. We didn't build this hall, but we did help when it was hit by a tornado in the late 60s. In the meantime, Dad continued to enjoy things he always did, like being a cowboy, hunting, and fishing. Soon a congregation was formed in Edmond and construction began on a new Kingdom Hall on the corner of 2nd and Story. In this photo we see Dad, Murray Croy, Joe Bob Watson, Frank Hurd, and Don Thompson. Here are some of those same brothers joined by Ron Rayburn as the last block is laid. I got to help a lot on that Kingdom Hall even though I was only about 8. Here is our family then. It shows everyone's personalities. It was about this time that the conventions began having Bible dramas, and Dad was in the first one. He's somewhere in this picture. He really enjoyed the privilege of attending 2 weeks of Kingdom Ministry School in Pittsburgh. This is one of his instructors, Albert Schroeder. It was during this time, Mom and Dad developed some lifelong friendships. Here we have Ron and Mary Rayburn and Joanne and Bobby Pryor. Dad wanted to serve where the need was great, and this is our going away party before our move to Clinton. This is our first home in Clinton. The first of many gatherings at their house is shown in these photos. Almost the entire congregation was there. A special pioneer couple, the Sandos, and Bible students, Daryl and Raylyn King. This was the Kingdom Hall when we first arrived. The walls leaked when it rained, there was no air conditioning, and the restrooms were one on each side of the stage. It was a public event to go to the bathroom. So immediately Dad began helping to upgrade this building. It took several years to get it to the point that wasn't ideal, but presentable and suitable. A few notable events happened during those years. Dad often performed baptism. Here Dad baptized Daryl King, and Raylyn is waiting her turn. They went on to be true Christians and the backbone of the congregation. Raylyn still is. Even though we were busy with theocratic things, there were many infamous camping trips. Sunburns and thunderstorms were common. But despite bad weather and exhaustion, we always had a good time. Over the years, families moved in and there was growth in the territory, and the congregation grew. There were special events like weddings and graduations. Dad was involved in all those things. He wrote this to Valerie Bates at her graduation. He also worked not just on his own Kingdom Hall, but others as well, like this one in Alva. My time in Clinton came to an end as I went to Bethel, and shortly thereafter Mom and Dad moved to Tuttle. This is the going away get-together in their house. It was a very much larger gathering than the first one. In Tuttle, Karen graduated high school. Not too long after that, Debbie and I married, with my father giving the talk. He was very nervous. Soon John graduated high school and shortly thereafter was off to Bethel. I don't have a lot of pictures from Tuttle, but it is certain their house was always a place for people to come, and they made many, many close friends. This is their going away party. The banner says, "We're going to miss you, Karen and Nancy, and even you, Boyd." They moved to Chickasha, and during the first years there, Dad retired. John and Nelda married, and Megan came along. Dad also added to his group of spiritual daughters. They remodeled and enlarged the Kingdom Hall and continue to have many good friends from there. During these years, Karen met Sean and they were married. Mom and Dad enjoyed their time in Chickasha and celebrated their 40th anniversary there. Not too long after that, we saw the need to plan for the future. So they reluctantly left Chickasha and moved to El Reno. This was their first move where the need was theirs and not the congregation's. Dad continued adopting spiritual daughters. Megan married, and Dad enjoyed being in another Bible drama. About this time, Karen and Sean graciously moved in with Mom and Dad to help out. A few years later, Lachlan was born. Mom and Dad celebrated their 60th anniversary with good friends. Around this time, Dad's age began to show and he had a couple of incidents in his van, so he stopped driving. About then, Ren was born, and they developed a especially close bond. This is classic Ren in front of about 100 people. To improve his health, Dad began a regular exercise routine at the local college, where they recognized his amazing accomplishments on the stationary bike in a formal presentation. For the past 30-something years, we made an annual fishing trip to Lake Texoma. Dad cherished those to the very end. One of the last trips included his great-grandson. As his health declined, doctor's visits became more and more frequent. When he could no longer work out at the college, he began walking in the neighborhood. This became increasingly hazardous because of difficulties keeping his balance on inclines. He suffered several falls. During this time, I took him to visit his childhood friend, Jim Arnold. They really enjoyed that day together. He also stayed in touch with other longtime friends. Although Dad could no longer safely walk through the neighborhood, he was determined to be active and wore a path in the backyard. He also enjoyed Ren and all his spiritual daughters. All of his chocolate bar girls should be happy to know he was loved to the end. This family is completely gone now, like so many others. And this family has seen two members fall asleep in death, Nelda and Dad. Is that all there is? This may be how we remember my dad, but that is not how Jehovah remembers him. Job 14, verses 14 and 15 says, "If a man dies, can he live again? I will wait all the days of my compulsory service until my relief comes. You will call and I will answer you. You will long for the work of your hands." And Job 33, verse 25 says, "Let his flesh become fresher than in youth. Let him return to the days of his youthful vigor." Jehovah does not forget.